What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. Of course, back at our regular slot of 8:30. I hope that you're all well. I hope that you're enjoying whatever sport it is you're watching today. I was just watching the Gary Anderson game of the dart, so that finished just in time for me to come on and have a chat with you wonderful people. Appreciate you all being in, as always. And I'm on time. Look at this, 8:30 and he's live. So yeah, I do owe you guys an apology again for being late onto the stream on Top of the League earlier on. I was just on a phone call that lasted long. Well, not a phone call, a conversation that lasted longer than it should have. So, loads to get through tonight. We're going to be trying to fill in some of the blanks around what might be happening in the January transfer window. We're going to give you guys some updates about Jurgen Klopp's press conference ahead of the Newcastle game and a couple of other bits and pieces as well. You know the drill by now. I'm going to have a few topics, but whatever you want to talk about, that's what we're here to do. I want to start off with this comment because I like to start off on a positive. I said, I think Endo has been class so far, and that came from not in use. Yes, sir. Well, I guess I wouldn't say so far, but I would say he's gotten up to the stage of being class now, and he's settled in. That's probably what I would go with that one. What else have we got? Legend. I love that, Toby. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated, dude. How are you? I'm alright, not in use. Yeah, no, I'm alright, dude. Not been a bad couple of days. Yeah, getting some rest in. This has been a weird time of the year. Does anybody else find the week between Christmas and New Year a strange time of the year? Like, I don't really know what's going on around me. It always feels a bit odd this week. Do you know legit info for transfer? Well, I need a bit more than that, dude. Like, I know you're straight to the point there, but like, what transfer? Any old transfer? Because if you want any old transfer, or if you're just trying to say, are you just lying to us? Do you know information on transfers? Ultimately, if you're new to the show, and I'm not sure if you are, who was that? Was that Hussein? Hussein, if you're new to the show, dude, this is usually what happens. So I'll go out into the world and I'll find some stories linking us to players, and I'll bring them to the chat. We'll talk about each story and we'll try to come to a conclusion between us whether we think it is real or it is not real. Now, do I have information about some bits and pieces? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Today, on specifics, no. There's no one I'm going to sit here and tell you I know 100% for sure that Liverpool are signing, because I won't lie to you. But that's what we do on the show, mate. We don't claim to be the be-all and end-all for your transfer topics, but what we do is find the latest stories and try and have a conversation about them and see if we can't get a consensus in the chat. Right. Is it weird I wear my wife's panties, said Melanator? I mean, my initial thought there, Sarah, is if you fit into them, fair play. You know what I mean? You're obviously in good nick if you're fitting into the wife's underwear. Weirdly, that was my initial thought, because I imagine if I tried to drop into a pair of Sabrina's underwear, it wouldn't end well for me. Now, she does occasionally rob mine, and I find that quite nice, to be honest with you. But no, mate, I can't see myself getting into the old wife's underwear, so just because I'm a bit too chunky, more than anything else. So happy that Arsenal dropped points yesterday. Absolutely. It was so unexpected that it was like a little Christmas bonus. And not just drop points, they lost, which is good. But look, Manchester City, if they win that game in hand, they're, I think, 2 points off us. So I'm not thinking we're going to romp away with it at this point. But you know what I have noticed? If you look at the league tally for half the season, I think we're on track, if I'm not mistaken. If we replicated the first half of the season, we'd see a title winner at about 84, 85 points, which would be incredibly low compared to recent years. So I look at the league this way at the minute. I don't think we've played our best. I don't think we've hit our best vein of form. Granted, Arsenal and Manchester City, they're probably thinking similarly. But I feel like there's going to be a push in the second half of the season, because it's been a while since we've seen a Premier League won in the mid to low 80s. Usually the standard is 90 points and above. So if somebody can put a run together, and I hope it's us, then it's there to be won. And it's there to be won by 3 teams at the minute. And I'd be a lunatic to say anything other than it is there for City, it is there for Liverpool, and it is there for Arsenal. Thank you so much, Defacement Network. Thank you, mate, for gifting 5 Anfield Agenda memberships to Rachel, to G-Man, to King KLOPP, to Nixon, and to not to Rachel. Rachel's already a member. Sorry, to G-Man, to King KLOPP, to Nixon, to Not in Use, and to Charles. Absolutely top man. Appreciate that. Is it true that we're looking at a young Colombian centre-back? I did see the story that you're talking about. I don't know if there's any truth to it, but we have certainly been linked with a Colombian centre-back. I think it's Tavares. I can't remember the name of the club in Colombia he plays for, but I'm sure I seen something on the Echo about that earlier on. I've no idea if it's true or not, though. I mean, I'd be fairly confident to say it isn't. Because if we're bringing in a centre-back, I think we'll know who that centre-back is, or at least we'll know of them. And with all due respect to that young Colombian centre-back, I had never heard of him before. Ethiopia. I mean, again, my friend, I'll need a bit more information on that. If you're watching from Ethiopia, if you're tuning in, brilliant, welcome. Great to have you with us. Mark reckons that we'll get 87 to 93 points. I think I'm with you on that, Mark. I think that wins the league as well, buddy, let me say. If somebody can get between 87 and 93 points, fairly confident that's a title-winning points haul. Right, I'm going to get through the news bit by bit. So, we have a couple of options. We have a little bit of news on Klopp admitting that he hasn't come up with a plan yet for when Salah departs for the AFCON. We've got some news on Alexis McAllister's return to training. Of course, we'll be talking a little bit about the links to Antonee Silva of Benfica. And there's a couple of other bits and pieces in here as well. Bobby Firmino could be set for a Premier League return, albeit not to Liverpool. And then there is, of course, the Kylian Mbappe stuff, because it wouldn't be a transfer window without a Kylian Mbappe story. A little bit on Thiago as well. Yeah, lots of news today. Right, I'm going to go down through it in order, if that's okay. I'm going to go through an order of my notes. So, Ben Jacobs has been discussing a potential rule change in the Saudi Pro League. So, at the moment, Saudi Pro League clubs, to the best of my understanding, are limited to 10 foreign players in their squad. That rule looks to be about to change. I don't know what they're going to change it to, but they're certainly going to increase it. At the minute, clubs are limited. Maybe it's 8, I'm not sure, but they are limited to the amount of foreign players. But they're going to change that now, and I don't know if it's for any one particular player, if they're looking to bring them in. But as an example, Al Ittihad, they've been linked with a move for Mohamed Salah, not in January, but in the summertime, and they currently have 10 foreign players, meaning Jota and, who's the other one? Is it Hegazi? Yeah, they're left unregistered. So I think they're allowed 8. They have 10, and they've 2 of them unregistered. So they're going to try and change that rule to allow more foreign players into the league. I don't know if that means anything good, bad, or indifferent, but it is just a little bit of information. Falatini, I don't know who the hell that is. David Ornstein said that Liverpool put a 25 million bid in for him. I've not seen that yet. I don't know who he is either, to be honest with you. Szoboszlai to the right wing for Salah. So let's have this conversation then, because Jurgen Klopp has said that he hasn't yet put a plan in place for when Mohamed Salah does indeed depart for the AFCON after the Newcastle game on January 1st. The reason Jurgen has said that he hasn't put the plan in place is because with the amount of injuries and stuff that have happened this season and are continuing to happen, he said he didn't want to put a plan in place only for that plan to then have to be changed if we had an injury or whatnot. Now, based off what we've seen this season, when Mo hasn't played or when Mo has been rested, I would suggest we're probably more likely to see Harvey Elliott on the right wing. That seems to have been Jurgen's favourite swap. But you are absolutely right. Dominic Szoboszlai could play there, no problem. Ben Doak's obviously ruled out. Cade Gordon, he needs to get his minutes up. Will he get starting opportunities? Not sure. I just think it makes more sense that it'll be Elliott for me. But look, Elliott, Szoboszlai, it doesn't really matter. They both do a fine job, I'm sure. Classy said he'd have Elliott there over Szoboszlai. So would I, because I'm a big fan of Elliott, as you know. I think he's an incredibly efficient football player, and I think he'd be more comfortable out there than Szoboszlai. I'd want Szoboszlai in the action areas a bit more central. Klopp is a crafty guy. Well, I suppose he is, really. Jumpman said, I'm sad about the Carvalho situation. Remember his winning goal against Newcastle? Yes, I do. And I will move on to talk about the whole situation with Carvalho and Antonee Robinson in a few minutes, mate. Don't worry. Just remind me if I do forget. Where have I saw this, Stas? I don't know what the hell that means. I can't make a sentence out of that, dude. Also, Dom is key to our press. He's certainly an important part of the press. No argument there. Dominic Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones are pressing machines. Craig, will McAllister be back for the Newcastle game? So, the honest answer is we don't know, but it's possible. So, again, Jurgen was talking about the situation today, and he said that he'd hoped. Now, when he did his press conference, they hadn't trained yet. So, he said they hoped McAllister was going to train today, and they didn't rule him out of the Newcastle game. They didn't rule him in, but they didn't rule him out. But what he did say is, if it's not the Newcastle game, it'll definitely be the next one. So, chance he could be available for the Newcastle game, which is brilliant to have him in and around the squad, even if it means, playing Endo, but just giving him a few more minutes before he returns to a starting berth then maybe for the next game. So, with obviously Endo going away to the Asia Cup or the Asia Games, it will be beneficial if McAllister was fit and available. But yeah, we're close, which is good news. On Andy Robertson, not really good news, not really bad news, just not there yet. The worrying one for me from Jurgen's press conference today was again the talk about Bajcetic. So Klopp said, and I'm paraphrasing somewhat here, he could train today, let's say, and then be out for a few weeks. They need to monitor it and judge the situation very carefully and very, I guess, slowly is probably the honest answer. I don't know. I think it's going to be one of these situations where once he gets through this particular injury concern, I don't expect it to be a long-lasting thing. I just think this is a particularly difficult time for him, whether it's with a growth spurt or whatever. It's so sad though, isn't it? Because he had such a great start to his Liverpool career last season, and we were all hoping for Bajcetic to push on this year. And we haven't yet seen him, unfortunately. So, yeah, we don't know of a return day for Bajcetic. None has been set yet. Thiago was getting a bit closer, apparently. But speaking about Thiago, there is a link coming out of Sport, which is a Spanish publication. They say that Barcelona are again keeping an eye on Thiago Alcantara as a possible option for them at the end of the season. Now, of course, he could sign a pre-contract agreement with anybody in January because his Liverpool contract's up at the end of the summer. And if I hear anything else on that, I'll let you know. Heavy Metal D, thank you, mate, for 5 months of being a member. Appreciate you. So, being a member for 5 months on this wonderful channel, hope that you and the team have more success in the new year and also on top of the league. You're a gent, mate. Thank you. We've got some really cool stuff that I can't tell you about yet, but we've had under development for the last 4 to 6 weeks, some technology that we've invested in. And we hope to have it ready for you guys sometime in January, and it will make things even more fun and interactive for you. And that's what we've always wanted to do. These shows are nothing without you and your interactivity, your comments and your thoughts. So we're trying to make it easier to make that process and your comments more visible. So we're working on that. I was only thinking about you yesterday, Colin. How are you, dude? He said, been a minute, I hope you're well, Merry Christmas. And Merry Christmas to you and your family as well, Colin. I know you were over in the Lebanon for a holiday. But I was only thinking about you last night, my man. I hope you're well. I hope the family are well, and I appreciate you being in with us. It's been a minute, as you said, but I hope you had a lovely Christmas. Craig, who would you like the most at Liverpool in the January window? Like, are we being realistic? Because, I'm going to say some crazy things. If we're being realistic, Antonee Silva, he's the number one for me. But I don't think we're going to pay the money. And we will talk about that now, actually, because you've led me rather nicely into it. So, let me get my notes open. So, 90 Min have been reporting that Liverpool sent scouts to watch Antonee Silva of Benfica, along with a host of other clubs. They've they've mentioned Real Madrid as another potential destination for him because of the injury to David Alaba. But the interesting thing here is, of course, the Benfica camp don't want to sell him, and they've said, I talk to them every day, all of them, said manager Roger Smith, we're in the middle of the season, we've got goals with Benfica, of course we're not going to let these players leave, we need them, they don't want to leave, there's no question about that. But the problem is, there's a release clause, so if Real Madrid or Liverpool or Arsenal or any of the other clubs linked to Antonee Silva pay the release clause, then it's kind of out of Benfica's hands if the player wanted to move. But the problem for us is, I don't see us paying €100 million for a centre-back again. It's about £88 million. I say again, we didn't even pay that for Verge. So I think he's out of our price range, if I'm being really honest with you. And I also don't think we need to spend 100 million quid on a centre-back. I think there are other options, like you guys have mentioned, Gonzalo Inacio. We know you could get him for 60 million euro, which is about 53 million pounds, something like that. So that probably seems a far more likely signing than Antonio Silva. But he is the one that I've always said I'd like more than any other. I just don't think it's realistic. So again, let me know your thoughts on that one. I just need to make sure my phone is on Do Not Disturb, actually. There we go. Where are we? Perfect. So yeah, on Antonio Silva, he's to me one of the best young centre-backs around, and if anybody paid up that money to get him, they'd be getting a very good defender. I just don't know if our need is. Somebody said Caicedo money, and that's a point, but we really needed a DM when we were looking at Caicedo. Like, that was a very... what's the phrase I'm looking for? Time-sensitive signing we needed to try and get done. I don't know, could we say the same about a centre-back? Like, we need one, but do we need 100 million euros worth of a centre-back? I'm not going to say no if Klopp wants to do it, but I just don't see FSG ponying up that level of cash. How much is Hincapié? He is just simply not available, David, in the January market. Xavi Alonso and the Leverkusen board were basically saying, in the summertime, look, it's a different story, but now nobody's going in January because, as I mentioned many times, they won't sell Wirtz, they won't sell Hincapié, they won't sell Frimpong. Even though Frimpong has been linked, but that's more, again, a summer move from what I can gather. I just don't see it happening because they're top of the Bundesliga. They're on an incredible run. They're in the knockout stages of the Europa League. It would be madness. And it would be really undermining the process for Xabi Alonso there as well. So I just don't think they're going to sell. So if we want to send her back in January, I don't think Hincapié is an option for us, unfortunately. Antonio Silva is a beast. I don't know about in real life on Football Manager. Look, he's been a centre-back that I've been hearing about for 18 months. When I've talked to journalists and when I've been reading up on vlogs and a few other blogs, and a few other bits and pieces. Just always felt he's out of our price range at 100 million euro. So, unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be any joy in that one. Another story that Marcus sent in to me, and you've probably seen doing the rounds yourself, is that Footballers Union is apparently looking to take legal action against FIFA over the sheer amount of games that players have been asked to play now without any conversation really with the players. There are some people who are going to be playing in the Club World Cup next year that might have a season that lasts 82 or 83 games, which is insanity to expect footballers to play that many games in a season and still play at the top level and still not be like picking up injuries. It's insanity. So I hope the authorities listen. I do, because players need to be looked after a bit better than this. You can't just keep rinsing them for money and running them into the ground. They'll have shorter careers. The project or the product of football will just not be as appealing because the game just won't have players playing at the best of their ability. The detective said, we need a centre-back, not 100 million centre-back, but we need cover there. Gomez will cover at left-back, which means we only have Kwanzaa. By the way, on Kwanzaa, I will now accept Cannavaro and Kwandijk for Kwanzaa, if you want to use those terms. I've seen them mentioned in a few message boards and a few comment sections on websites, and I thought, oh yes, I've got to bring this to the guys. Cannavaro and Kwandijk. I'm all here for that. The problem is that he shouldn't be out of our price range. See, when I say he's out of our price range, Alex, I mean for what we need. If centre-back was a position we were screaming out for, a la when we were signing Verge, I don't think 100 million euro would be unreasonable to think we could pay it. But I don't think the need is there for 100 million euro centre-back at the minute. Because I think we have our starting centre-backs. I think this is just Klopp wanting to bring in another quality addition. But look, dude, don't get me wrong. I'm not getting angry if we sign him or if we spend that money. Ancelotti extension to 2026. I did not know that. Casper's photography, mate. Thank you. Didn't know that. That makes the situation more interesting around Alonso, yes, because that's that's the time Klopp's contract is up as well. I wonder if the Bayern job might become available before then. Silva's a rip-off. Benfica is a money factory. Well, they certainly know how to extract money from people who are buying their players, dude. I will absolutely agree with you on that. They've turned over a lot of money from Premier League clubs in the last 10 years. Quandini. Yes, Jarell Quansah, mate. Quandini. Or Quannavaro. Quandini works as well, but Quannavaro or Quandike were the two I'd seen. Quanson. I don't know if younger people would get that, Martin, but I get you. I get your Alan Hansen quote there, mate. Well in. Craig, can I take a YouTube short and put it on my YouTube channel? Sure. A short, no problem. You feel free. Pinch away. But no other content, please, and thank you. But yeah, I don't mind shorts because we don't make money from them, so sure, why not? What do I think? Do you think we'll get Bakayoko? I've been honest about the whole Bakayoko thing and said I've not seen enough of him to really have an opinion on him. I've seen consistent links to the kid, but other than that, I really don't know if we're gonna look to bring him in or not. I mean, it makes sense for a lot of the type of signings we do. Right age profile, probably the right price profile. But I don't know enough about the kid. I haven't watched them. Inacio isn't a signing that is needed. Another worthless signing like Gravenberch. That's a bit... I disagree with you on that one, mate. Who's that? Dawood? So, how are we calling Gravenberch a pointless signing, by the way? I really don't agree on that one. And Inacio, look, we need a centre-back. I hope we at least agree on that. Joel Matip is out, and he's got a contract as well. So you've got Kanade, who can be prone to a muscle injury. You've got Van Dijk, who of course can't play every game. And then you've got Jarell Quansah. Now, Gomez at the moment is going to be utilised in a full-back position, but still there as an option. I would say we do need a centre-back in all honesty, and I wouldn't say Inacio is a stupid signing. It would be stupid from the point of view if we could have had him for €40 million in the summer, but Matip wasn't injured then, so maybe that's changed Jurgen's thinking. I saw you short about Solanke. Does that mean we could buy him if we wanted? So yes, pretty much. So the story that I read yesterday about that said that Liverpool or Michael Edwards put in a 20% sell-on clause on top of the £90 million fee and add-ons that we received for Dominic Solanke. And then the piece finished out by saying they believe that there's also a buyback option in there, basically giving Liverpool first refusal should Dominic Solanke leave Bournemouth. So let's say, as an example, Chelsea wanted to sign him, but Liverpool also wanted to sign him. We'd have first refusal on that. So yeah, that's where we're at with him. But I don't expect Liverpool to trigger that at all. It's the 20% sell-on clause part. I think that's far more likely. So, are you going to keep asking me stupid questions about Rashford? Or can we all agree that you're just trying to bait me with stupidity? I don't have time for it, dude. I'm not here to pander to stupid questions. I'm here to interact with people who've genuinely got an interest in what we're talking about. Not gobshites asking me, can we sign Marcus Rashford? Yeah, we'll sign him tomorrow, mate. I hope that ends this conversation, for the love of God. When's the last time we signed a United player? It doesn't happen. Stop asking stupid questions that you know the answer to already. I'm not your ma. I don't have to put up with your bullshit. Not sure about buying another 100 million player from Benfica, Craig, especially after what happened with Darwin. We paid significantly on an unfinished product. I get where you're coming from. I still will probably defend and argue that I think Darwin will come good and will justify that price tag. I also think at the moment, I think we're up to about 73 million so far that we've definitely paid Benfica or have to pay because of the add-ons. But yeah, I get your point. Right, so somebody said the conversation about Carvalho. Yes, thank you. Let me just grab my notes here on Carvalho and I will give you the information on this one. Where are you? Where's Carvalho gone? Where's Carvalho gone? Right, so the story on the Carvalho situation is that apparently there's a possibility that Liverpool could look to do a swap deal where they put Fabio Carvalho back to Fulham and in place we take Antonee Robinson, who was of course a left-sided wing-back or left-sided defender. And I didn't know about Pep Guardiola or Manchester City's apparent interest until I read this story. But that's what's been reported. I think it's in the Express in the UK, yes. They say that Liverpool are going to use Forgotten Wonder Kid to seal January deal for a Guardiola target. So they say that Liverpool are looking to do this type of exchange deal where we send Fabio Carvalho, who of course isn't getting much of a look in at Leipzig, back to Fulham, and they don't talk numbers, or at least I don't know the numbers, or if it would be we'd have to throw money on top or we'd receive money. I honestly don't know. But it's an interesting one because if we could solve a problem with a player that we already have without spending money, that's probably a good thing. But the reason I bring it up is not only from our perspective. I read something last night that said that agents are gearing up for a different January transfer window where they believe top Premier League clubs are going to look to utilise the loan or exchange market a lot more than in previous windows. Obviously, the likes of Chelsea, potentially Arsenal, maybe Manchester United, and a few other clubs are right on the periphery of what's acceptable with FFP. So they have to try and get creative, and player swaps or loan deals seems to be something that a lot of clubs are looking at for the January market. I didn't see Liverpool's name mentioned with any particular player or deal, but when I seen this article then the next day speaking about the possible swap for Carvalho and Antonee Robinson, it kind of just made me think it could be a really strange window this for Premier League clubs, because we don't usually see the top clubs in the Prem do much loaning. Now I know Manchester City look like they've agreed a deal to take Calvin Phillips to Newcastle on loan till the end of the season, but you know, I told you guys about that one probably happening a long time ago. But yeah, what do you think on this one? Would you do it? Would you take Carvalho and swap him with Antonee Robinson from Fulham? I don't know. I know it divided people the other day in the chat. Some people were like, I'm an American and I don't think he's good enough. Others were like, I think he is good enough. I just remember one thing about Antonee Robinson. When we played Fulham, he was like an Energizer bunny up and down that left-hand side. And Fulham, I would say, have exploited that Trent space better than any team we've played this season, in my opinion. And he was a part of that. But that's one game. I would rather have Carvalho than Antonee Robinson, said Avani. Well, we're not going to keep Carvalho. So whichever way this Carvalho situation plays out, he won't be coming back to Liverpool, from what I can gather. Craig, would you be down for a Liverpool all or nothing show? Well, obviously, yes. As a fan, mate, I'd love it. I'd love to get as much insight into the Liverpool dressing room and what goes on at the club. I'll be all over that. But Jurgen's turned it down already. I think we were one of the clubs Amazon approached previously about that. And maybe after the Liverpool Brendan Rodgers fiasco, what was that one called? I can't remember what that series was called with Brendan Rodgers, but that was a bit cringy. Squawk Clean said, I'd take the deal 100%. I heard Fabio say that today Juve the front runner for a loan with an option to buy. Is that for Calvin Phillips? Yeah, so last night it was reported that a deal had been done behind the scenes, or at least an agreement had been put in place to allow him to go. But look, Juventus need in that position as well. And that was the other name that I'd mentioned to you guys previously about Calvin Phillips. So either one of those two wouldn't surprise me at all, because both of those clubs, for various reasons, well, kind of similar reasons actually, need a player in that position. Right, here we go. I wasn't going to bring it up, but D-Face Network said, okay, Craig, I'll be the one. Are you ready? Choo-choo! He said, okay, Craig, I'll bring it up as I'm The conductor of the derailing Mbappe train to Anfield. What's this with rail rumblings impact our chances? I'll get back to that in a sec, because there's another super chat from Box to Will, which is on the subject we're talking about, and then I'll come back around to it, man. Don't worry. He said, haven't watched much of Fulham, but I will say Robinson is usually one of our few bright spots for the US men's national team. Solid defensively for an attack-minded left-back. In that game, that one particular game where we played Fulham, he really impressed me. Like, he had energy for days going up and down that left side. And somebody else in the chat said reminds him of Robbo. I can totally see that. But I don't have a big enough sample size of Antonee Robinson to know if that was a one-off performance or if he is that good. So back to the Mbappe stuff. So you may or may not be aware, but apparently Real Madrid are about to make Kylian Mbappe a contract offer in January to join them at the end of the season when he's a free agent. Now, because he's a free agent at the end of the season, Kylian Mbappe can sign a pre-contract agreement with anybody outside of France, and there's nothing PSG can do about it. But the interesting part of the Mbappe story for me was that Real Madrid are apparently only going to give Kylian Mbappe until the middle of January to make up his mind. And if he doesn't make up his mind by the middle of January, the report says that they're going to pull the offer off the table. That's where we're at. I'm not trying to link Liverpool to this conversation, but that's where we're at with the Mbappe story. Do I believe it? No. I believe that if Mbappe drags it on a little bit longer, the story will go on a little bit longer. I don't believe an ultimatum would work out too well. Mbappe's never struck me as somebody who deals well with an ultimatum, as you've seen previously at PSG. But I do understand it from Madrid's side, because they've already had what they would see as Mbappe stringing them along the last time and then chose to stay at PSG. So I know that they're clearly trying to save face here. But you never know what you're going to get with Real Madrid. I mean, they brief one time that there's no interest in Mbappe anymore. They're looking elsewhere. Then January comes around. Now all of a sudden they're going to put a contract offer down, but it's only going to be in place for a couple of weeks. I don't know what to say to you, but I think we've all always believed that Kylian Mbappe likely ends up in Madrid. I want Inacio and Robinson, said Burnham Bean. They're both good enough for our bench and to get some good minutes as subs, and maybe Inacio as a Van Dijk takeover. So Inacio would definitely give us an option, because we need somebody for the left side, and Inacio can probably push over to left back a push if needed be as well, if we need to cover there. Or if we switch to a back three, of course, there's an option there. So the Inacio one's always made sense. I just didn't like the fact that we'd have to pay more money, because we could have gotten for cheaper. But I guess I'm trying to put myself at ease with that by saying, well, we lost Matip and maybe now plans have changed. Mbappe has a terrible attitude. I don't think he'd work under Klopp. So I totally get where you're coming from. And it's a valid point. I'm not pushing back against that. But I don't know. I kind of get the feeling, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I think Klopp could manage Mbappe better than a lot of the other managers that have worked with him. I feel like Klopp would be the type of character that would, I don't want to say be a father figure to Mbappe, because, I don't want to disrespect his family, but I think he'd be the right type of manager to, I guess, manage the Mbappe situation. But again, look, it's fairy tale stuff. He's most likely going to Madrid. We should go get Vinny or Rodrigo. Well, Rodrigo just signed a new contract, so I don't think there's any chance he's leaving. And same with Vinny Jr. But it's a valid point you're making. Like, if something has to give there, if they bring in Mbappe, because, is he central? I don't think if Mbappe is central, but maybe they're going to play him centrally. But Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, with Bellingham in behind and Camavinga, it almost sounds like a cheat code. Like, it's a ridiculous sounding team. Is the AFCON on every year? No, but there have been seemingly a lot of movement in the tournaments, from postponements then they're catching up with, and then it was a winter tournament that got moved to a summer tournament that got moved back to a winter tournament, and it's the most messy of all the competitions for me. It's a bit of a crazy one. Like, I think Maybe we just notice it more because, of course, we've had Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah who've, departed for the tournament, Naby Keita as well previously. But yeah, it does seem to be a particular pain for Premier League clubs and I guess other clubs as well, but our focus is mainly on the Premier League. Not hearing much on being linked with a number 6 because we're not being linked with one, Adam. I'm sorry, dude. That probably sounded rude. Didn't mean it to. I mean, it's been pretty evident that we're not doing anything there. Klopp feels with Endo stepping up, with Bajcetic still there, with McAllister, somebody who can play in that role. I don't know. Klopp seems... I disagree. I think we could do another one, but Klopp seems to think we're okay there, so I don't think we're going to get one particularly in this window. Be interesting to see if he does that when Thiago's contract is up, but for now, I wouldn't expect one in January anyway. How many games is Mo going to miss for the AFCON? So I think it's 3 league games if I'm not mistaken. Obviously he will miss both legs of the League Cup. Semi-final against Fulham. I think he'll miss the Arsenal game in the FA Cup. I'm not sure if there's another one I'm missing or not. But yeah. Sucks. But at least we've got McAllister back to fill in for Endo when Endo's at the Asia Games. Because as I said, those, particularly the 2-legged semi-final against Fulham in the League Cup's one that I really want us to win. So, Casper's Photography said, I'm just saying it, Salah is finished. Now, before anyone goes clipping that up to start blaming old Craigo on that one, I didn't say it. But I think there's something to what Casper's Photography is saying, although I wouldn't go as far as to say he's finished. I've said this for a while and I've gotten grief for it. I'm not seeing the same Mohamed Salah or anything close to it at the moment and in recent months. He's still doing some good stuff and he's still a class act, but we're not getting the best out of him in the way he's been utilised. And whether that's down to the system or the fact that he's receiving the ball further away from goal or the fact that it's a bit of everything and maybe he's slowing down a bit and maybe, I don't know. I don't know the exact answer. But I do think he's dropped off a bit. That's what I'd feel comfortable saying at the moment. I feel like he has dropped off a bit. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I definitely wouldn't be going down the he's finished route. But do I think we're going to see another season where he puts up 30 goal a year numbers? No, probably not. Do you think Núñez will score a hat-trick against Newcastle? No, Jeffrey, I don't think he will, but he has to start for me. For the reasons you're probably thinking yourself. He probably scared the bejesus out of Newcastle. And a tiring Kieran Trippier up against a very full of beans Darwin Núñez sounds like a fun evening for me. So I'd start. I'd go Núñez, Jota, Salah for my front 3 against Newcastle. What's the Man City hijack? I've explained it already, Shadow, but happy to go back over for you, mate. So Manchester City have been linked to the move for Antonee Robinson. A news story came out in the Express that said Liverpool are interested in trying to do a deal with Fulham for Antonee Robinson that would see Liverpool send Fabio Carvalho back to Fulham. So that's where we're at with the story on the hijack. City, according to the Express, are looking at Antonee Robinson as an option for their own defence. Car Connoisseur, thank you, my friend, for your super chat. Said, if Salah leaves in the summer, who do you think is the best replacement? The market for right wingers is very good right now. I agree with you about the market being good, but look, my answer to this has been consistent for quite a while. Jarrod Bowen. That's my answer. I know he's 27, but I still think Jarrod Bowen would be a really good fit and we'd get 5 years out of Bowen. Now, it would probably see us not getting a return on that money at any point, and I totally understand that and the way that Liverpool operate. But for me, if you want to take Mohamed Salah out of the system and put in somebody who, of course, will not replicate Mo's numbers, but will fit, in my opinion, seamlessly into the system with the traits Jurgen would like, with enough goals and assists to have an impact, I've always thought Jarrod Bowen is that guy. If you want to bring in somebody of a younger outlook, Who else could there be? I'm never sold on the Kvaratskhelia of this world. I watched them again today with Napoli, and he's just not it. He just isn't. And I know he's a left side player as well, but he's just not it for me. Rafa, I think he's settled in Milan. Bakayoko, I've honestly said I don't know enough about, because I've not watched anything of him playing in the Eredivisie really. Xavi Simons is somebody who else has mentioned, but I don't know if PSG have any interest in selling. Obviously, he's on loan. Am I missing out on any other big targets though, or big players we've been linked with in that position? Kudus is another one, and you also, like, this no to Bone shit really makes me laugh. Tell me a player who's in much better form in the Premier League this year than Bone. Like, Bone is doing absolute bits for West Ham and causing every defence in the league problems. And yet there's still some people in our fan base who are like, nah, he's not good enough. I'm going to keep pushing back on this because, in my opinion, he very much is good enough. Kudus is another interesting shout as well, although I don't know if West Ham would be willing to sell a player that soon after they signed him. Kubo is another great shout by people, but you've got to take the Madrid factor in there. I don't know if Madrid will be able to trigger that clause, especially if they're looking to bring in Mbappe and stuff, but they do have the option to buy him back for 30 million euro, I think. But Kubo be a great shout as well. Like, I've followed Kubo from his time at Mallorca when he was on loan there. But United, weirdly, are the club that I'd seen linked with Kubo most from the Premier League. Wirtz is a great... Yeah, Wirtz and Elise are two other brilliant suggestions. You're not getting any argument from me on those two. Elise again showed his class in his recent game with Crystal Palace. Of course, Manchester City tried to sign Elise in the summer. So, brilliant suggestion from people in the chat on that one. Florian Wirtz, again, absolutely great suggestion. Would love Florian Wirtz. Would love him. And, to be honest, my big fear about Wirtz is that Bayern buy him. That's my fear there, because you know the way the German league works, and Bayern want the best German players. He was linked to Real Madrid, Wirtz, but if they're going to bring in Mbappe, surely they can't do that as well. So, yeah, I'm with you on those two, definitely. Nico Williams, he signed a new contract, Stephen, at Athletic Club Bilbao. So, unfortunately, that puts that off the table. Him and his brother, Iñaki Williams, are both really settled over there in Bilbao. So, yeah, it wasn't a surprise for me to see him signing a new deal. Was not sure about Bone, Craig. Watched him last night, and you're 100% right. He's class. Honestly, I totally understand that it's not a sexy name. I get it. But really, I think Jared Bone is tailor-made for the way we play. And I think Klopp's a big fan of his. I just think I haven't got the statistics to back this up, but I'd be almost certain that everything that we would like in that position, Bone ticks the boxes. Kudos was a good shout, but look, you're right. Wirtz would be brilliant. Wirtz would be a dream. Mitoma. So he's out for 6 weeks now with an ankle injury. I don't know about Mitoma. I feel like Mitoma is at the club that is right for him, if you get me. Some players, they just explode at a certain club, and there's a reason for that. I feel Mitoma at Brighton's maybe one of them players. What do I think of Oyarzabal? I haven't watched as much of Sociedad this season as I have in previous campaigns. But they always have some tidy players in Sociedad. And I tell you, the one thing I do, I've seen his name on a score sheet a few times, but I'm not going to profess to know too much about him. I think we ideally need is a defensive midfield, a versatile defender like Gomez. Once we get those, we have a squad that's good to go. So, what do you guys think is going to happen? Can we get a poll? I'm going to do a poll for this because I don't want to ask would you sell him or whatever. I'm going to ask you what you think will happen with Mo. So, 1 second. Last one. 1 sec, folks. Right, 3 options. The options are, what will happen with Mohamed Salah next summer? So there's new deal, sold, or run down his deal and leave for free. Because, of course, this summer, Mo, is 1 year to go. Bowen's work rate is ridiculous. Absolutely. He's like somebody went into a factory and designed a player for Jurgen Klopp. And by the way, shout out, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do if you're new to the channel. We are chugging along rather nicely at the minute. And again, I'm going to keep reminding you, if you are in Boston or in and around that neck of the woods, we are going to be live at the House of Blues Foundation Room in Boston, right across from Fenway Park, March 22nd for one night only. Anfield Agenda live in Boston. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster if you want to treat somebody or you want to come and just have a bit of fun with us on the night. We'd love to see you there. It's going to be a fun show, and of course we'll be down mingling with people afterwards as well. So thank you to everyone that's already bought tickets, but we hope that you guys will show up and have some fun with us. Any news about João Neves rumours? Nope. Nothing there at all for me, right? Now, we did have scouts at Benfica, right? So maybe we were looking at more than Antonee Silva. Maybe we were looking at a couple of players. Josh Black, how are you, mate? Thank you for saying hello. Hope you're well. Pranav, how are you, dude? Nice to see you in. Pranav's been a long time viewer of the channel. Always great to see you, mate. Says, hi, Craig. Hope you're well. Bowen or Elise for me. I'm with you. Give me either of those two, mate, and I'm more than happy. Like, Elise looks a real star. He does look like he looks like he's going to be a big, big player. So yeah, no arguments about Elise, no arguments about Wirtz. Hey Craig, I love Salah, but imagine Mbappe. Oh, I've done it, mate. I've let myself dream. I have. I can't lie to you, mate. I have let myself dream about that situation before. I don't think we'll see it, dude, but, you know, if only. Jamaica in the house. Naheem, lovely to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Question. New Year's Eve. What do you want to do? Do you want me to do a New Year's Eve stream at 10:30 till after midnight? Or do you want me to do a 8:30 to 9:30 regular stream? Yeah, was only thinking about this the other day. I forgot New Year's Eve was coming up soon. I don't drink or anything, as you know, really, so I won't be going out and about. I'm going to be here, so I might as well stream and welcome in the new year with you guys if you like. Bowen is better than Bakayoko, most importantly, Premier League proven, said T. Kudus, Kubo and Elise would be my picks ahead of Bowen, said Reza. Again, some good names there, mate. Late stream, get wasted. So I did get drunk one year. I think it was 2 years ago. We did a New Year's Eve stream where I was on the vodka and cranberry. And I did get drunk. But we play on New Year's Day. And I don't want to do the Newcastle game dying of a hangover because I'd be useless. So I don't think I'll be drinking on New Year's Eve. But definitely up for doing the late stream if you guys want it to happen. Old Man Digu said, New Year's Eve stream, Craig, we're here with you. Boom. Lock it in. So we'll do that 10:30 till after midnight or whatever. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Nothing you said, just got 2 tickets there, going with the wife. Oh, please tell me you're not lying to me, mate. Because every ticket really matters. Honestly, it does. You know, the venue holds 200 to 250, and I'm not arrogant enough to think we're selling out 200 tickets, but God, if we can get 50 or 60 people in there, it'd be a good show. You know, we had about 80 in Dublin for that show, which was great. I really enjoyed it, loved chatting with everyone. So please tell me you're serious, man, because I fucking really want it to work, because I just want to say hello to some American Reds. Simple as that. I'm probably going to try and see if I can target a couple of local radio stations or maybe some supporters clubs around the area or local podcasts or something to try and drum up a bit more interest when the time gets closer. But yeah, that I hope you have, man. That'd be awesome. Thank you. AA live in Boston. Yeah, as you can see on the screen there with that image, tickets are on sale since a couple of Fridays ago on Ticketmaster. If you are in that neck of the woods, $25 a ticket, and we'd love to see it. I'd like to watch you as we go into the new year. Well, then pencil her in, Jensk. Look, mate, I'm delighted you answered that, lads, to be honest, because I wanted to do the later stream, so thank you. Would you bring back Luis Suarez? No, and he signed for Miami, Inter Miami. He's going to be joining up with Inter Miami. So they're putting the band back together there with Busquets, Alaba, Messi, Luis Suarez. It's gonna be an interesting season next year in the MLS, watching him. Well, you can have it on in the background, but you know, you have to share me with the public, Sabrina. You can't have me all to yourself. Have you got your tickets for the Boston show?
I'm working it.
You're working it?
Yeah.
Sabrina thinks she's working it. She's not getting paid.
Yeah.
And you will get to see Sabrina, by the way, because I know you all hear her voice all the time, but if you are in Boston, you'll get to meet her. Same in Dublin. Sabrina was there to meet everyone in Dublin as well, so yeah, she's going to be at the Boston show. JC and all 6 for 5 of you, mate, I'm expecting you to be our security for the day. I will reward you with that fillet steak we spoke about. Can we see your signed shirts? I take a picture and bring it up on screen of where they are in my living room, if that works for you, mate. I've got loads more. Like, I've got them upstairs in wardrobes and...
Just have to take some more family off the wall first.
Yeah, I just have to take some more family off the wall, as Sabrina said. Yeah, I'll drop this into the chat now in 1 second. I'm just going to ignore this photo I'm sending you, Sabrina. Come on. Right, I'll drag it onto my screen now for you. 1 second. Okay, where is it? There we go. There you go. Let me just make that a bit smaller so the image fits a bit better. There you go. That is my living room with the signed shirts. As you can see, there's a Bobby Firmino painting over here in the corner. Then there's a signed Trent jersey, a signed Jota jersey, a signed Van Dijk jersey. And if you just look down the bottom, you can see the chair of my famous chair, my chair. So yes, I've got more upstairs. I have an Alison Becker one that I need to get framed. I've got a new Darwin one that I need to get framed, and a couple of other bits and pieces as well. If you're in our Discord group, by the way, our friend Carl in there is the one who sources these shirts for me. So and that's my living room, by the way. That's what I put my poor family through. No pictures of the family. No. It's all Liverpool. All Liverpool. If you come in my door, you'll see a Steven Gerrard shirt in the hall. If you go up the stairs, you'll see some up the stairs. If you go into the bedroom, you'll see them leaning up against the wall. Yeah. That's the chair. I know that's like my pride and joy, mate. I've got more news to get through, though. I haven't even finished the news yet. Hang on. Where are we? So, Liverpool have confirmed when Salah and Endo are leaving. So, this is what we know so far. So, Egypt and Salah get underway at the AFCON on January the 14th. And Japan get underway on January the 14th as well. Both will leave after the Newcastle game. So, the Newcastle game on New Year's Day will be the last one before we lose Mohamed Salah and Wataru Endo. What's this one from Mark? Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Mark. So Mark's just sent me the list of games that Salah will miss, depending on how Egypt get on. So he's definitely going to miss Arsenal in the FA Cup, Fulham in the Carabao Cup. Again, Arsenal, Bournemouth away in the Carabao Cup. If they get through to the round of 16, he could miss the FA Cup 4th round and Chelsea at home. If he gets to the quarter final, he's going to miss Arsenal away in the league. Semi-final, same as above. And if they go all the way to the final, he'd also miss Burnley at home. So what we expect him to definitely miss are Arsenal in the FA Cup away from home, Fulham in the Carabao Cup, Bournemouth again, or excuse me, not Bournemouth. Yeah, Bournemouth away in the league and then Fulham at home in the Carabao Cup. So league games there, not too many to be honest with you, but depends how far Mo gets with Egypt in the AFCON. And thank you, Mark, for sending that in. And people there call Craig a fake fan. Look, I'm obsessed with Liverpool, mate. Anybody who calls me a fake Liverpool fan does not know me at all. So let me give you a story. Craig's story time. The very first time we went out for dinner with Sabrina's parents, I didn't go to dinner with Sabrina's parents. Liverpool were playing against Birmingham in the League Cup final. And I was down in Athlone with Sabrina, with her mum and dad. And there was a table booked for dinner. So Liverpool were playing in the League Cup final. And it went to penalties. And I wasn't budging. Now bear in mind, I was only going out with Sabrina a while at this point. And her parents aren't into football and sport. So it was very new to them to have their daughter's fella saying, nah, not leaving. Not going, sorry. And they're like, but we've a table booked. Don't care. Liverpool are playing. Because it was important to me to lay down a marker at that moment that they knew how important Liverpool was going to be in my life moving forward. So we didn't get off on a great foot. They were a little bit disappointed that I refused to leave. But over the years, they've understood and got to know that that's what makes me tick. That's where I'm at. Like, I love Liverpool, and Liverpool's games, that's where my days go. So yeah, now they don't even ring when Liverpool are playing. So, yeah, that was an awkward one at first. But yeah, people who say I'm a fake fan are just weird. You know, weird. The other two voices we hear are one Ben, Sabrina. Yes, so you hear Sabrina's voice. Yes, that's the other voice you'd occasionally hear. But Ben's mic'd up. Actually, Ben won't be around. Ben's on holidays from tomorrow. He's heading away for, I think, 6 days, if I'm not mistaken. So Ben won't be around. So it's just going to be myself and Connor and Adam again for the next few days. So you won't be hearing Ben's voice for a while. He's having a well-deserved break. What happened to the chair? Chair's still here, my man. Chair's still here. One of the picture I put up earlier on, you could see the chair in it. Yeah, I still have that chair. That's never going anywhere, man. I love that chair. Right, let's have a look at the poll that we put up. So I asked you guys, what do you think will happen with Mohamed Salah next summer? The options were new deal, sold, or run down his deal. So far, 53% of you guys reckon that Mohamed Salah will be sold next summer. 38% think he'll get a new deal, and 9% think that the most likely thing to happen is that Mo runs down his contract and leaves on a free. I would probably be in the sold category, but let me say this honestly. 2 weeks ago, I was 95% certain Salah was going to be sold. Now I feel I'm 50-50 because I've had a few more positive signs that maybe there is a conversation to be had. I'm not daring to go as far as to say expect it because it isn't. I don't have that info, but I feel the possibility of Mo getting a new deal is more likely than I believed it to be a few weeks ago. But I don't know how it ends up. Is there a DM in the market that is a destroyer like Fabinho? We need a proper DM who can clean up. Can't wait for a show. Just bought a ticket to see you there, my friend. Oh, awesome, man. That's class. Our other friend, were you serious about getting those tickets, by the way? I know you said something about flights, but I didn't catch up with you after that. That's awesome, buddy. And look, at that show, I promise you, when we're finished the show, I'll do what I did in Dublin, which is say thank you, good night, step off the stage, walk straight down into the audience and have a chat with you all, because that's what we're here to do. And Connor will be at the show as well, as will both of our partners, my wife and Connor's partner, Katie. That's awesome, though, man. You've made my day, Russian Honey Badger. Thank you so much. It's going to be a fun night, mate. It is. And if anybody is around the Boston area, by the way, for that show, and if you're either local or staying there, we're trying to plan a meal out for the night after the show. So JC, as an example, JC's travelling over for the show. He's going to be staying in Boston for a few days. Brian, LFC USA, and his brother, They're going to be at the show. So we're going to try and plan a meal out for the night after the show. If anybody is in Boston and can't make the show or is staying for the show and wants to go out for dinner the next night, we're going to try and organise that as well. Wasn't joking, so excited now. Nice, well in, my man. Boston in the US. Oh yes, Yannick. Your boy's international now, sir. Absolutely. The week after Paddy's week as well. Take it over, Boston. Anfield Agenda, boys. Right across from Fenway. We're going looking for John W. Henry. I mean it in a good way, not in a threatening way. We're going looking for John. John, I'm here, mate. You know what I mean? Invite me in. FSG offices. We'll have a chat. I'll sort out this transfer window stuff for you. I'm in the US, Craig, near the area, but like to know what the show is about. So think of it this way. Think of it as a live stream. So what I'll be doing is we'll be talking about topics. We'll be doing Q&As with the audience. We'll be doing some lists of stuff. Like we'll be probably building our all-time Liverpool 11. I'll be giving you some behind-the-scenes information about the industry that I don't talk about on live streams. And I'm basically there to answer any question you guys will have on the night. Real, seriously, with no holes barred. So if you want to know stuff about the industry that I know that I don't say on streams, that night I'll tell you everything you need to know or anything that you want to know. And of course we'll be having a bit of fun as well. Depending how ticket sales go, I'm playing around with the idea of maybe trying to get a musical accompaniment in so we can have a bit of fun. But yeah, I'm not going to let you down. I'm gonna aim to have a good show. I don't trust FSG to get us a better replacement if they sell Mo next summer, said Queen Nadra. It's not FSG. I trust KLOPP, but I just feel their hand might be forced next summer. Like, I don't know. Let's say the club are willing to come to the negotiating table, Queen Nadra for Mo. So what we can take for gospel now is that Rami Abbasisa said that Mohamed Salah makes about £1 million a week, all in at Liverpool, based on, I guess, bonuses, endorsements, and other stuff. So I don't know if Liverpool go back to the table with Mo if they're going to lowball him because they're going to look at the age profile. I don't know if Mo may have an expectation of wanting a higher wage. I don't know. So that's what makes it so difficult is if you put your business head on and not your Liverpool fan head on, the sensible thing for me to do is if Mo isn't willing to kind of stay on parity with what he's making now, say, and extend it a bit, I would sell because it's a lot of money. And I keep coming back to the idea that I hate the idea of us losing Salah, Firmino and Mane for a total of, I don't know, 30 million quid if Salah goes for free. So it's a really, really tough situation, but it's also a situation that the club have known is going to be coming up. So now, to be fair to Mo, and I want to give the man his credit, it hasn't dominated headlines like in recent years. It hasn't become a distraction. And that's a good thing, because that's my big fear in all this, is that it does become a distraction as we approach the end of this season, which, you know, a season where we could win the league, we could win the League Cup, we could go deep into the Europa League. Soren, thank you for your super chat, my friend. Said, how many games will Endo miss? Same as Salah, pretty much, mate, basically, depending on how deep Japan go. But you'd reckon that Egypt and Japan probably go deep in that tournament, in both the tournaments, sorry. Hope we get a centre-back who can play left-back in January. Love this show. Thank you so much, Soren. The Inacio stuff would tick that box, mate. You know, he can play left side of a back three, can play left centre-back, and can play left-back. And he's a good age profile, and he has a buyout clause. But it seems to be a real ding-dong battle, if you look at the media, between us and Arsenal for his signature. Mark, again, chief moderator playing an absolute blinder, has just sent me the confirmation of the referees for the game against Newcastle. So in the middle of the park will be Anthony Taylor. Gary Beswick and Adam Nunn will be the assistants. And the fourth official is Andy Matley with Stuart Atwell in VAR. Now, I'm already going to say this, Atwell will shaft us as well. Atwell, for me, is very much in the Paul Tierney camp, but not as bad. Paul Tierney, and I don't know if you've seen the staff flying around from Paul Tompkins, who wrote a free article on this, which I definitely recommend. If you're into your statistics, search it. Tompkins Times, there's a free article about the referee situation, and it lays clear beyond any rational human being's doubt that Tierney, whether for whatever reason, does not do anything for Liverpool. Nothing. In fact, the stats point out very clearly that Paul Tierney versus other top 4 or top 6 sides shafts Liverpool no end of times. And I can't explain it as well as Mr. Tompkins did in his article, but I would definitely say read up on it. So yeah, I'm getting sick of it. But you know what? I'm starting to feel a groundswell of support from not just from me rabbling on, but managers, players, other fans. I think people are just having their fill of VAR this year. I think everyone's sick of it. You've got managers every single week talking about big decisions they're being shafted by. You've got a great sample size of a lack of consistency of decision making for certain things that are almost identical. And I feel like there's going to be a big moment at the end of the season where something has to change, because I think people are starting to lose faith in the system and the PGMOL. I'm not saying they're corrupt. I'm not saying they're not corrupt. But what I'm saying is I don't believe that the standard of officiating and the consistency that we should get in the Premier League is there at all. I think it's getting worse rather than better. And I don't care how many times Howard Webb or anybody else wheels out all the decisions they get right and gives themselves a pat on the back. They're still pussying out of discussing the big subjects and the ones they're blatantly getting wrong. And we've been shafted twice this year. And I say shafted because we were shafted. That penalty we weren't given against Arsenal was a goddamn disgrace. And the goal that we didn't get against Spurs that everyone laughed at us for, when Jurgen dared say, you know, that we're going to push the matter further, it's happening over and over again. And it's happening to other clubs as well. And I think everybody is really just sick of it at this point. Because we're not seeing games decided by the brilliance of the players or the tactical nous of the managers. We're seeing fourth officials, referees and VAR, VAR and referees just having a completely over-the-top influence. And there's no rhyme or reason. And they've no pushback. You can't, who do you argue with? All they do is apologise. Doesn't matter. Apologies aren't worth anything when it happens over and over again, because you ain't getting the points back. So something has to give, because it's getting beyond a joke now. And he even had Postecoglou. What did he say? It took 4 minutes for VAR to shit the bed in their game against, was it against Brighton. It was Lewis Dunk, right? If my memory is right, I think he said Lewis Dunk should have been sent off. And then you look at what we've been shafted with. Virgil van Dijk should have had a penalty against Luton. If I'm not mistaken, something happened in the Chelsea game at the start of the season. Arsenal game, we should have had a penalty. Got a goal ruled out against Spurs. These are all huge, huge games with massive swings of points that could be vital at the end of the season. And sorry doesn't cut it. Sorry, it's like, I feel like we're talking to a child. If a child says sorry all the time and doesn't change the child's behavioural patterns, sorry kind of starts to be empty. Sorry is only applicable if you then try to change your ways afterwards, or at least show you're trying to. And by the PGMOL putting Paul Tierney anywhere near a Liverpool game with those very, very, very damning statistics that Paul Tompkins has shown up, it's a disgrace. And not only that, we've had him more times than most other referees, which only rubs salt in the wounds. Dodgy red card at Newcastle, 2 dodgy red cards at Spurs. Yes, absolutely. Aussie Leon, thank you, mate. I hope you and your family are well as well. And it's not just us. Like, I'm not sitting here saying it's only poor old Liverpool that are getting shafted. I'm not trying to say that at all. I just obviously have more memory of what happens to us because I'm a Liverpool fan. But I'm sure if you spoke to definitely a Wolves fan, Gary O'Neill and Wolves fans that have many, many examples, or if you spoke to Everton fans, or if you spoke to any club, they're going to have 2, 3, 4 blatant decisions this year that have gone against them. Abbas, how are you, mate? In from Malaysia, appreciate you. Anthony said, Craig, nothing will happen with VAR until the team walks off the pitch and protest. Mate, I think we touched on this yesterday. If I was in Klopp's shoes, I can't sit here with a clear conscience and tell you I wouldn't have done that already. Because if that penalty against Arsenal wasn't given and I was on the sideline, I'd have done exactly what you've said. I'd refuse. I'd refuse to put my players back on the pitch. I'd refuse to finish that match. Because nobody would ever change my mind that that wasn't a nailed-on penalty and we were shafted. So, I agree. And I think that's what will happen. Somebody will make that stand at some point. And you know what? They'll be ridiculed for it. Because the first person to make these stands always are. But it's not good enough. Something has to change. And again, let's look back to last year, by the way. Not last year, the season before. Everton were denied a penalty against Manchester City right at the end. Who was involved in the decision making there? Guess who? That penalty could have won Liverpool the league. But it was a stonewaller that wasn't given. And Manchester City went on to win the league. It's sickening. Any news on Bastoni to Liverpool? No, mate, I've never really seen a link from Bastoni. I've seen lots of fans suggest Bastoni, and look, it's a good shout, but I've not seen any links, honestly. If we took the players off the pitch, it would mean a world of trouble. I get that, Colin, but no one said these things are easy, mate. You know, taking a stand at times, you get ridiculed for it. You get punished for it. It isn't always easy, mate. But if you're not being listened to, and if the authorities think they're above reproach, and nothing's changing, what options have these managers got left? Or the coaches or the players? If you've worked your whole life for something, and you're losing and it's being taken away from you, not because of the betterment of the opposition or because of frailties in your own game, but because of clear, obvious, dodgy decision making or questionable calls. I mean, what do you do? Just go every week then and accept being shafted? I don't know. It's a tough one, but I think we're going to get there. Someone's going to do it. You'll never understand how happy I am every time you're live, and you, many people's highlights of the day. Never quit. Oh, Marcus, that's lovely, dude. Thank you. It's one of my highlights of the day as well, Marcus. I promise you. I look forward to coming on here and chatting with you guys. It's awesome, and I feel like our community's really growing, and the channel's starting to get more eyes on it from different people around the world, and that's what we want to do, because we view ourselves, or at least I view us, as a kind of an unofficial overseas supporters union. That's the way I look at Anfield Agenda, and I say unofficial because, of course, we're not affiliated to the club. Right, look, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys, and I'm going to go and spend some time with my wife and watch the darts. So, appreciate you tuning in tonight. I'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. Adam will be live on Forever United TV tomorrow with a watch-along of Manchester United's game against Palace, I think it is. And I'll be back here at 8:30 tomorrow night, and there'll be a video out tomorrow afternoon. And also, what else is there? Preview is coming out tomorrow as well at midday for the Newcastle game, so keep an eye out for that one. And don't forget as well, before we finish up, if you are coming over to Boston, tickets are on sale, Ticketmaster right now, 22nd of March. Thank you guys so much for everything. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good